Siege was a toy line that I really wish I could have been there for. I was only able to collect properly towards the latter half of the War for Cybertron trilogy, so Siege managed to entirely miss me, aside from Springer, and it's just been long enough that finding some of the better figures from the line on the aftermarket is a proper chore. What the hell, Spinister? So, when Kian came across a box Siege Jetfire, my absolute most wanted figure from the line, earlier this year for retail price on Marketplace, I think, we agreed that if he buys it, I buy it back off him when he gets the Shattered Glass version that he ideally wanted. He had the Shattered Glass version in hand in less than a month, and thanks to that I ended up with a Siege Jetfire a month and a half before they revealed the re-release. So in lieu of that, I'm here to tell you why you need one. The sculpted detail on this guy is sublime. Every surface is lightly seasoned with deep and rich surface detailing, with occasional moments where the sculpting goes all out, like on the collar vents in the backpack, and that backpack is utterly perfect. It's a great size and shape to evoke the proper silhouette without causing the figure to be at all back heavy, and it does very well to highlight the head and the wings, which might otherwise get consumed in the sea of the white. The proportions are also fantastic. The large bulky torso and slightly stumpy limbs seemed a little off to me when I first saw him, but upon comparing him to the cartoon model I've realised this is extremely accurate. In fact, this whole figure is incredibly accurate to the G1 cartoon. So many of the little details in the sculpt are at least referenced, and it all comes together into a very nice looking figure overall. The only thing I feel doesn't look quite right is the face sculpt. The head itself looks good, but the actual facial features don't register to me as the classic Skyfire as much as the body. At least there's some good light piping. The narrow face is one of only two things I find I dislike about this guy, the other being some of the plastic. A couple of spots on this guy, particularly around the joints, use this off-white polymer with a very strange texture. It doesn't feel the nicest, and it shits me up a little bit when I see it in the light and think that the figure is yellowing. Beyond that though, the colours are pretty spot on, with the rest of the white being nice and stark and the reds being a little desaturated, which I really appreciate here, allowing it to not be too garish against the main colour. But the MVP in terms of colour here has to be the blue. The couple of pops of blue that he has are this gorgeous deep shade that stand out so much and really bring this design together. And the paint is all nice too. There isn't too much of it, with most of the details being from the plastic colour separation, but what is there is nice, crisp and clean. Those gradients on the legs are a bit of an odd choice though. Now, accessories. This guy has this big old shield that splits up into a pair of missiles, a pair of bigger missiles that split in half, two weird double guns, one less weird double gun that splits into two not so double guns, and this chest plate with a mask hiding in it, and a couple of the splitting up type blast effects. Some of the accessories here are a lot more useful than the others. The standard cartoon style rifle works really well and looks fantastic in hand, whether as the double barreled rifle or the two individual blasters, and I do have a particular fondness for the mask, it looks really cool, but a couple of the accessories are a little harder to work with. You can of course armor him up with everything, which I believe is meant as a reference to the G1 toy, and I'll be honest, this looks stellar. I would not judge anyone for displaying this guy like this. The changes on the go with the details and the color palette are really nice, and this thing just looks badass. This is you. This is the guy she tells me not to worry about. And don't worry, this one's still sexy. Accessories aside, he does have a little gimmick. Nothing too fancy, but the Autobot badge is on a rotating panel that lets you turn him into a Decepticon. I love it. More like this, please. Now, articulation on this guy is pretty good. It more or less reaches the WFC standard, but it doesn't go too far beyond it. The head is on a swivel and a hinge. The shoulders are on some rather nice ratchets going around and out, although you can quite often untab the shoulder panels when moving the arms, so wish that connection was a little better. Elbows are on a double ratchet joint. He has wrist swivels and opening hands, which have a pretty cool feature. The hand ports retract when you open them, which was a nice detail in concept, but it does leave the ports pretty wobbly when holding a weapon, unfortunately. He has an extremely tight waist swivel. The hips are ratcheted forward and back and on a friction joint going out. Knees are ratcheted, and of course, ankle pivot. The posing here overall is pretty nice, nothing too impressive until you consider just how big he is. It's quite impressive just how stable and dynamic he is thanks to his tight joints and ratchets. This guy's great fun to play with. And that extends to transformation. It's a relatively simple conversion, with the only real complexity being orienting the chest panels and the arms correctly. There are a couple of little things to make note of, like the legs being a bit of a pain to tab in, and making sure you get the spring-loaded window to pop up, but beyond that, this is pretty quick and easy, leaving you with an absolutely fantastic plane mode. This thing looks dead perfect. Even more so than the robot mode. And it's so ungodly fucking large that I had to run long exposures just to get the whole thing in focus. The impressive wingspan, large deep plane body, and angular nose cone all completely nail the look. And the sculpted detail continues to work its magic here, with some new details popping pretty much out of nowhere. My absolute favourite part of this jet mode is the big red thing on top. The way that it expands out during the transformation and really cleverly joins with the legs to enlarge its boosters would be good enough, but you can barely even tell that it's changed thanks to how clean it is. This mode is pretty fully featured, with an opening cockpit that that Titan Masters can sit in if you remove the blocker sculpted detail, a full set of landing gear, and some posts that your other figures can hang onto from below. The only downside in this mode is how messy the undercarriage is. It's extremely gappy and a bit ghastly of a sight, but I don't really mind that thanks to how good the rest of the mode is. This guy is an absolute steal for 90 quid, even more so than the other commanders. Sure, he's not the best one, but he's really bloody good. The thing that makes this guy stand out from the others to me is the sheer play factor when it comes to all the accessories. This figure truly embraced the Siege play pattern, and the fact that you have items that change the look this much means that this figure is even more worthwhile than it already is. This is my favourite configuration for anyone wondering. I definitely recommend this figure. Just go get your pre-orders in. Re-release. Come on, go. Why haven't you gone yet? Pre-orders. Go. Oh yeah, there's a black one.
Big black man. This is the shattered glass version of Commander Jetfire, which is quite interesting because a repaint of a commander. I don't know if that's been done before, but he is done in a very nice black plastic with purple and green details, which really gives this guy the evil kind of vibe. His head sculpt, actually, let me just bring it closer on the side. I don't know, if this head sculpt, I feel, suits the evil man a bit better. I don't know, he's just a bit grumpier. He does still have the flippable insignia gimmick. So there we go, we have a shattered glass Autobot, so the evil Autobots, and the good Decepticons, which is what I have him on, because he stands with my Decepticons on the shelf. He retains all features with the other mould, but his hands, for me, are a little bit weak. So, I don't know if you can see, let me pick him up. This hand, there's no ratchet to it, it's either on or off, and it's not very good. This one doesn't even, oh my god, that happens as well. So, this mould, for me, at least with this figure, it feels very hollow. I don't know if the same with MrLoubat's copy, but for me, it feels a bit hollow because there's a few tolerance issues, but aside from that, it's very nice, and the more I look at this colour scheme, the more I prefer it. Right. Accessories. Now, I've kept all of mine in a nice bag, but they are the exact same as... Get out! They're the exact same as the other one, obviously, it's just a repaint, but with this really nice purple and green shield. Let me just get the mask out. The mask is a lovely black, silver and green, and that looks super good if you chuck it on him. Let me just get it on him. There we go. You got that. The gun is virtually the same, it's just a bit of a purple underbarrel kind of foregrip, and, you know, same as before. Maybe a painted barrel, actually, I'm not sure if that's the same on the original Jetfire, but painted barrels on these as well. Oh, with purple, I forgot about that. So yeah, just painted, same thing, and I choose to display them without this in kind of the G1 design because I prefer it, but yeah, there you go. Shattered Glass Jetty Steve.